Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to be covering off what I call the sovereign self and how to become a millionaire with freedom, detachment, personal power, and really scaling without sacrifice. So, as I've always scaled my businesses, not just my agency, but all companies now, it's always been with this in mind. And that's why I want to transfer those learnings that I throughout my entrepreneurial journey to all of you lot. And hopefully you can take some inspiration away from that and just start to understand the shift that you can make, especially now where AI is and the opportunities that you have with AI. You can get so much more freedom and leverage if you really take advantage of the opportunities. I'm going to walk you through that part maybe towards the end. But the first thing that we'll start off by doing is the journey to the sovereign self. So most entrepreneurs don't realize they've built themselves into a trap until it's too late. And I've observed this from many of you, not necessarily you people on the call, but a lot of people that have came through the program, or maybe I've spoke to them about potentially coming in and helping them fix their business. You normally get yourself into a real trap where it's too late, that you don't have the energy to get out of it. You don't have the desire, the enthusiasm anymore. You're quite burnt out. And that's really when you don't want to get it to that point. You want to make sure you realize this trap before it's too late. So basically, the entrepreneurs would see they work harder each year, but their business still depends on them. Now, as a recruitment agency, yes, it's still going to depend on you in some cases. It's never going to be the holy grail where it's 100% not dependent on you. But there's definitely areas in the business that it doesn't have to be. So the first thing would be sourcing, for example, and then it might be delivery, then it might be client acquisition, and might be social media, all of these different things that you can make sure that you can outsource. So the mindset is at the start, you take on more clients, you might hire more recruiters initially, you make more revenue, but then obviously you're less free because you've got all of this mental baggage. So as you scale your business, not your freedom, what you do is just create this bigger machine and everyone depends on you for it to run. So that cycle never stops, and until you make that decision to detach and get some leverage. Now, the goal is not to work harder, it's to detach from the effort while scaling revenue effortlessly. So this is the concept that you want to create in your mind of the sovereign self model. So it's not just about making money, it's about reaching a state where wealth, business, and life serve you on your terms. As you can see in the background, I'm not in Dubai, I'm here in my place in Spain. And that only could happen because, yes, I've made money, but I've got to a state where in my business, I can run it from anywhere. And I've got a team doing a lot of the fulfillment, and a lot of the business ticks without me having to work all of the time. And that should be the same for you. Eventually, you get to a point where the business serves you. So instead of running on hustle and force, this sovereign entrepreneur builds power and leverage. So basically what I'm going to cover today is how you're going to detach from outcomes and scale more effortlessly without stress or force. And then step into the real power and personal sovereignty. So you can actually become magnetic to success. So when you get that type of energy that you can attract more success, then that's when it's going to get more easier, where you can act from a state of power versus force, which is a book I'll mention in this session that you should all check out. And then structuring your business for ultimate leverage. So it generates wealth while you remain free. And then we'll dive into mastering the mindset of the rare few who create effortless generational wealth. So the first part is the mindset shift from worker to sovereign leader. Now, your business should be a vehicle for your freedom, not a trap that steals your time. And this is a quote you should remember. Your business should be a vehicle for your freedom, not a trap that steals your time. So even you just thinking this and writing it out loud is going to help you transition from that way. If every time you're doing something in your business, you're thinking from a state of creating freedom. Now, the reality of business and wealth, most people build businesses that trap them. So I talked about this just at the start. They create complicated teams, endless processes, and stress. So even for the take of endless processes, always try and think of how to create things more simpler. Okay. It gets harder as you scale. I've got lots of different businesses, not lots, but 3 to 4 main businesses and employees. but I'm always trying to keep it simple, not add more layers of processes. Okay. And definitely not more stress. If anything stresses me out in 1 week, that's why I've got my notepad and pen, and I'll be planning all weekend how I can create something that would eliminate that for me. And then most people, they make the mistake, hard work for success, when in reality, hard work is a trap if not leveraged correctly. We all get in startup mode. We all have to work hard, okay? So it's not a case of you coming in and then all of a sudden everything's going to be just rosy and you're going to get checks in the mail and everything else. Look, we know it's hard work, but you need to make sure you're leveraging it correctly. So the hard work only happens once as you're building the business, and it should get easier over time, okay? So they chase clients, they force results, and operate in survival mode. Now, some of you might be in survival mode now, and what that means is it's feast and famine. So you might be waiting for that big deal to come along and you're very dependent on it. That's the state we don't want to be in for long. So it's very important that you use that hard work, as it were, for maybe 2 or 3 month batches to get in a position where you all get to at least 100K net cash reserves in your business bank account. So you've got a more operational way that you go into the business with a freedom mindset that you don't need every deal. Because once you start forcing results and chasing clients more, it's just a compound effect that things will go wrong. So as a sovereign entrepreneur, this is how you operate. They detach from needing anything. So the detachment from needing anything comes at a point of, even on a sale or when you need the candidate to accept the role, if you just come from a detachment place of not needing them to accept the position or not, you tend to find that deal will come through. And they attract rather than chase. And their business is a self-sustaining machine where their team, obviously now AI and systems, can generate income without their daily involvement. So most agency owners, they get stuck in this cycle. So basically what we do is we're winning clients, then we're scrambling to fill roles. Then we're trying to win clients again and scrambling to fill roles. And then we're working harder. And then we think, oh, we'll scale by adding more recruiters, and then more clients, more hires, more work, but then it's less freedom. And that's like what we call the traditional recruitment agency model, isn't it? The 360 model, where we're scaling, we win more clients, got more jobs on. Okay, so we'll get more recruiters. Obviously, you're all in my programs for a reason of eliminating that. And that's the whole point. We want to create freedom. So that cycle never ends until you rebuild the model completely, which is what we're all going through. Now, as a sovereign entrepreneur, they don't trade time for money. They trade ideas and leverage for money. So you've got two paths here. So the trap versus the sovereign. So this is why two people can have the same business model. One is trapped, the other is free. But the difference is leverage, not effort. So the trapped business owner was be working 68 hours a week. They're managing people, processes, and high stress. They're trading time for money. And you feel trapped in your own business when you wake up on a Monday, you've got so much to do, nothing can push through without you. That is the trapped type of mindset as a business owner. As a sovereign entrepreneur, they could work less than 20 hours a week. And when I say work, that means actual having to take calls, having to do things like working on the business and different strategies and marketing and these type of things. I don't class as working in the business. That's working on the business, okay? But working in the business, less than 20 hours a week. The sovereign entrepreneur delegates systems, attracts wealth effortlessly. They're trading ideas and leverage for money, and they feel completely free while scaling. That's a different type of shift that you want to be feeling as a sovereign entrepreneur, because most business owners operate out of survival mode. They feel like they're scaling, but in reality, they're just building a bigger cage for themselves. Whereas the sovereign entrepreneur takes a different path. So instead of adding more clients, hires, stress, they build less but smarter, always simple. So that's a key thing that I want you all to think about now. If you've got your notepad and pen handy, which you should all have, is look at your current business, where you're at now. You're all in different stages. So a lot of you on this call here, you're either in Recruit Accelerate, you've been in Elite Mastermind, you're in AI Talent Partner, you've been in different areas of the business, or maybe you've just joined in. Welcome, David. I just noticed you pop on there. Looking at your current business, are you a trapped operator or a sovereign leader? And what are the 3 things you are doing that you shouldn't be doing? So if anything resonated here and what we've discussed so far, I want you to start writing that down, like 3 things that you're doing that you shouldn't be doing. And just put a commitment pen to paper to make that change. If anyone wants to share in the chat, they're more than welcome. If there's something that you want to stop doing, it's even better if you put it in the chat, because you're putting it into the universe that you commit and that's not going to happen again. Okay, so we've got the core principles of sovereign success and detaching from external validation. So stop building your business based on what others think you should do. You need to define success on your terms. This is one thing I've self-reflected on many years, and I've went through different stages where I follow other mentors. I've got other friends that are doing different business models, or they're getting way more success in some area. You need to define success on your terms. And that means the balanced health flow of happiness, the way you're going to be located, the working hours you're going to work, the type of clients you're going to work with, how much money you want to make, how much profit you want to make, how big your team is. That is how you define success on your terms. Just because someone else is making more revenue than you doesn't mean they are more successful than you on your terms, because your life as a sovereign entrepreneur might be different to them. Okay. So that's one thing that you want to have, is detaching from this external validation of having to look successful or have more stuff, as it were. So operating with power, not force. So if you've read the book Power versus Force by Dr. David Hawkins, I've mentioned this a few times. Thanks for sharing that, Christopher. Has anyone read Power versus Force or understands the concept of this? Quite a difficult book to read, because it's all about the different levels and of energy exchange, and like when you need to be operating at 200 or above. You might have seen that type of growth chart before. I'll see if I can search for it on here, actually, just to give you an idea. Chart. The energy chart on here. So the different maps of consciousness. I'll not click on that one because it's linked in. Yeah. This is probably an easier one. Yeah. Actually, it doesn't have the numbers on there. Look at a better one. What we got? States of flow, love, and fear. Like when you're operating from like a force mindset, that's like lower down, like here. So I'm just trying to find a better image. Okay, here. As a successful entrepreneur as such, and a certain level, you want to be aiming to operate at between 200 and 250 neutrality. Realistically, a lot of people are operating between desire 125, 140, and 175 pride. I would say anyone that's normally around here, you're not in the flow state yet, okay? All of you on this call aren't below 100 because you wouldn't have invested in yourself. You wouldn't be showing up here to make yourself better. But this is probably the area that we're looking at now. And the goal is to get to 200, 250. Like when you operate from, say, acceptance, love, joy, these are like high states where Muhammad Gandhi operates at, and Mother Teresa, for example, and high enlightenment people. Like these are very hard, like steeper stage to get to. But when you get in alpha state, that's obviously when you get in high, deep levels of meditation in a different frequency. But really, you want to be aiming to get to the 200 to 250, where things aren't affecting you as much and you're going from a flow state. So from force, that's hustling, chasing, burning out. We all when we're in starter mode, yes, we're in force. We have to make things happen, okay? But the goal is to get to power state where it's alignment, effortless attraction. So just more things just keep compounding and more success just gets attracted, and setting up scalable systems. That's coming from a place of power that you're not having to force things through manually all of the time. You're building something that will be robust next time, where you don't have to force things through. So your business serves you, not the other way around. If your business needs you in every detail, you don't own a business, you own a job. The goal is to create a system that works without you. Now, you don't get paid for effort, you get paid for positioning and how that business delivers. So most agency owners, they're still going to use force for their success. So they push harder to win clients. You have to do that at the start anyway. Okay, so I'm not saying don't use force at the start, but once you get in a flow and you've got too many clients or you've got an abundance of clients, you're never going to be pushing harder to win clients. Clients are just going to come to you. And then they take on more work instead of refining their model, because a lot of people take on more clients than they need and got more jobs, but they aren't even qualified jobs. And they believe effort equals results. Now, that is a middle class trap because effort doesn't equal results, because I would say probably in the last 2 years, at least 3 years, I've worked less and less, but I've made more and more money. So it's definitely not because of effort. If it was off effort, like some of the hardest working cleaners in office buildings would be paid for their time, but they're higher than the CEO that works 20 hours a week. But it's never going to be the case. But power attracts. Now, the most successful business owners I've seen, they don't hustle harder. All they do is simply operate at a higher level of positioning and detachment. So from a different place of power. So setting the rules, having clients qualify for you, scaling without stress. Now, force would be chasing business, endlessly grinding, and always being busy. It's always funny when I get on certain calls and people would say, I haven't got time, or I'm too busy, or I'm going to slot here. And if you are really honest with yourself of what you're actually being busy doing, it's not, unless it's a high income generating task, a lot of the time it is wasted force, and that just depletes your energy anyway. Now, you're not in the business of making money. You're in the business of owning the business that makes money. So Naval Ravikant, a great guy that I followed for a long time, one of his books is really good, and it's really simple read. I watched some of his podcast interviews on YouTube. He's actually started doing a few more recently, which I'd highly recommend to check out. So he says, you're not in the business of making money. You're in the business of owning the business that makes money. And that's a mindset as a sovereign self we want to get to. Now, the training balance skills. So I've learned this from a lot of previous mentors as well. And I came up with this sort of concept to teach you about it. Was a lot of people say, so Tony Robbins talks about mindset versus strategy. And I think he quoted like it was 90% mindset, 10% strategy. Other people get it to the point of 99% mindset, 1% strategy. So as you get more successful, more wealthy, you realize it is all about mindset. It's not tactics. Now, most of you might think that the more tactics, what is James's golden pill? What's that number one golden email to send? Or all of these tactics things are going to fix your problems. But honestly, success is 95% subconscious programming. So all of you have been through my programs, if you went through all of the mindset training that I've done, the alchemy of self, and I went into even more detail and improved that recently, just because I knew that it is all mindset. A lot of you might have came through and skipped through that. And that's probably the reason why you're not at a certain level that you want to be at, because you're looking for the tactics. It's not about the tactics. It's mindset first, which is your energy, your belief system, the detachment to dictate outcomes. And if your mindset is wrong, no strategy will work. And I've noticed this from when I analyze all of the people that I've mentored over the years. The people with the best mindsets are always the ones that are the most successful. It's not the ones that are the hardest workers, and it's not the ones that are always thinking, that's sharing all of the new tools that they've done, or this big SOP document, or all these systems. It's never those people, because tactics amplify what's already in motion. If your mindset is right, any strategy will work. That's a key thing. So the reason most people fail isn't because of lack of tactics. It's because their mindset isn't aligned to what they really want. Which is why it's very important that you need to create that person that you need to become in order to get to where you want to get to. But if you don't know where you're going to get to, you're going to create just this repeated cycle of your current self all the time. And I know for a fact, like everyone that's on this call, actually, I'll know for a fact the people that aren't on this call that got invited to come on this call, because there could have easily been over 100 people on this call if they were all hungry and had an appetite for it. A lot of them are going to be lacking the fact if they haven't created their desired self and their goals aren't aligned. And they're just probably at work now, being busy. They haven't got the time to spend an hour or so. And that subconscious mind controls 95% of our daily actions. So if you don't reprogram it, you'll unconsciously sabotage your success anyway. Now, as a sovereign leader, you want to be operating from a place of certainty, not hesitation. So certainty of where you want to go and how you're going to get there. A long-term vision, not short-term desperation. So not short-term, I want to win, I want to get to 20K a month, so I want to win a certain amount of clients. It's the long-term vision of the business that you want to create. You don't want to create a job anymore. Remember, you want to make sure that you want to create freedom. And having an abundance mindset, not a fear of scarcity, an abundance of clients that are going to come in, an abundance of people you're going to attract, abundance of money coming in. All of this thing comes from an abundance mindset, not a fear of scarcity. Not a fear of, oh, James, what if it doesn't work? Or I've tried this, it doesn't work. That's you coming from a place of fear instead of an abundance mindset that you just keep going until it works. So the identity shift, I want you to write down, what identity do I need to fully step into to become sovereign? If there's anything that sort of rang a bell there where you're taking notes, is what identity do I need to fully step into to becoming sovereign? And think and act as if you are already that person, because your external world will begin to reflect it. So never saying, oh, this doesn't work for me because it never does, or I knew this deal would fall through, or it's might going to fall through, or counter offer is going to come in, or this AI thing doesn't work for me and because of this and that. That's your external world is going to start to reflect that. So think and act as if you're already that future person and that future self of who you are. That comes from lack of self-belief, which a lot of people are born with a lack of self-belief. That's just how we've been brought up by parents, no fault of them. But that's like the number one thing, which is why you need to work on mindset so much. You don't even realize like the subconscious programmings you've already got instilled in you that you need to really unpack. You need to position yourself as the prize. So stop chasing clients. I don't mean literally stop chasing clients, but what I mean in your mind and the force part. Instead, make them qualify you. So you come from a detachment part of the most powerful business owners aren't the ones who work the hardest. They're the ones who own nothing but control everything. So build a leveraged business model. The old recruitment model of placements, contingency fees is dying. So moving towards at least exclusive retained, or some of you already on here, the AI talent partner model, I honestly feel like that is where the future is at. And there's a small margin of window that you have in order to seize that opportunity to be the first to market in your niche, in your location, to be seen as that AI-driven recruitment model, because everything's shifting so fast now. And you've got so much leverage in that AI talent partner model where you don't actually need to make placements anymore. You don't need to deal with candidates. You don't have to hire recruiters anymore. It's such a leverage model, which really suits the sovereign self, because all you're going to be doing is paid for your expertise of recruitment, your industry experience, and how to implement AI. You're packaging that together, you're installing it in an end user client, and then you've got a hands-off scenario where you could scale it up to 10 clients. You could make $500K a year without even having to do the full end-to-end placements. So that's one thing to build a leverage business model. That's like definitely the opportunity now in 2025 is going to be people that can install these AI-driven recruitment models, which we've got a lot of clients on this call as well that are doing that, instead of just filling roles. It's like a freedom scenario. You actually see the end goal with that. And then detaching and creating wealth without work. So success isn't about working harder. You can see a trend here I'm talking about. It's about detaching from effort while scaling revenue effortlessly. This is the mindset we want to start shifting is you don't need more clients, you need a smarter model. And the sovereign leader operates from certainty, not hesitation. So they move with confidence and authority. They have a long-term vision. They're not short-term desperation of needing that one deal to come across the line. They play the big game, while all of the others are scrambling all of the time, every single month. So they operate from abundance, not scarcity. And the more you detach from needing success, the more success chases you. I've walked that path truthfully. I can be honest with that. There was times when I had my agency, yes, I was stressed. I was trying to make sure we got payments in. But once I started thinking of it from a different alternative and always being hungry to learn, having a high teachability index and learning different ways of how I could scale the recruitment model, which is what I'm teaching you guys, is that helped me detach from needing the success. And then it just compounded, then I attracted more. So the more success chases you then. So that identity shift for you is going to be, who do you need to become to run a business that works without you? That's a mindset we want to get to. Who do you need to become to run a business that works without you? I want you to start writing it down now and define your new sovereign identity. So who do you need to become? So this might be just, you need to be more hungry for improving your mindset, creating those goals that you want to create, operating the business from a model that you want. So how much freedom you want, what times of work you want to work. Instead of just opening your laptop every day, diving into LinkedIn, your email inbox, which I know some of you will be doing, and you're just back doing the same cycle again. And then you want to start having that identity shift is literally just acting as if you are already that person and watch your business realign around it. So if you say yourself that you are going to be this new person and this is how you operate and this is a sovereign self, you will start to see things shift in your business and you'll do things slightly different because you're going to realign on who it is that you want to be, and you're going to start that from today. So the key takeaways from part one of this is most entrepreneurs don't build businesses, they build prisons. The hustle model is a trap. So you must detach and leverage. The most successful entrepreneurs aren't the hardest workers. They are the most sovereign, most free. Trapped business owners do everything themselves. Sovereign entrepreneurs own nothing but control everything. And when they own nothing, they own nothing of the process. So they've got people doing that process. So there might be, in our scenario, for example, it might be your sources, or it might be your ops person, it might be automation, it might be AI. So as we move into part two, obviously you audit your business. Are you a trapped operator or a sovereign leader? You want to list the three biggest things you need to stop doing to step into that sovereign leadership, and train yourself to detach. Instead of thinking, how do I work harder to grow? Ask yourself, how do I remove myself while making more money? I ask myself this all of the time. How can I remove myself from this part of the process and this business while also making more profit? So part two, we're going to dive into mastering detachment, the key to scaling effortlessly. If you can walk away from the outcome, you hold all of the power. So this is the art of letting go. So the letting go of needing clients or success is actually a double-edged sword, because you think, I need clients or I need success, but you need to learn to let go first, and that comes from power. And then the reason most business owners struggle to scale is that they cling too tightly to short-term wins or that one client they've had. I can't count how many times someone will come to me and say, James, we lost our biggest client. I was like, you had no other strategies, you had no other dependence, you built no systems to try and make sure you've got other clients. So you're operating from a place of need and being very clingy with that one client. And that's when things go wrong. And that's the paradox. So when you stop chasing clients, they start coming to you effortlessly. Detachment equals the ultimate leverage. In energy, when someone's needy, and we've all got people that are needy, it repels you, yeah? And needy energy repels. But when you're confident and you're indifferent, the energy attracts. Because clients want to work with someone who doesn't need them. So when I was pitching big clients, I was like, that, and I show it on the pitch deck and I say that bit of word, and some people are uncomfortable, they don't even say that. That's why we choose the clients we want to work with. And this is why we're having this call, is because we're interviewing you as a client of, do we want to work with you? Do we want to present you to the market? And in our black book of contacts of amazing candidates we got, we choose who we work with. And that's how you want to be coming across. Because the highest earners in any business aren't the most skilled. They are the most detached. So they make decisions based on their standards, not desperation. They charge premium rates because they don't lower their standards. And they fire bad clients knowing better ones will replace them. So they don't force deals and they position themselves as the prize. That's definitely been the case. Again, I can only speak from my experience and from what I've seen over the years. Is it comes from like an ego, but in a nice way. You are the prize. So whether their client wants to work with you or not, it's going to be, in my mindset, their loss. Because I know I'm doing something different. I know we give exceptional results. That's why we charge premium fees. And that's why we don't lower our standards. Now, the power of indifference. So think about the times in your life when things have flowed effortlessly, when you didn't overthink and opportunities just came to you, or a deal came to you, or an offer came to you, or a client came. Like, how can you replicate this energy in business. Because I definitely think if you think of those times when it flowed effortlessly, this is a time when you were at a better state of energy where you didn't need it to happen. It just happened. It just flowed. And instead of pushing for sales, focus on positioning and the value. So we talk a lot in the AI Talent Partner program now around the positioning of like you positioning yourself as that AI expert on LinkedIn for recruitment systems. You're positioning the value add of like how it's going to lower fees. These are the type of things that you want to instead of pushing for sales. So instead of trying to convince clients, speak as if they are lucky to work with you. Make sure you don't do nothing with this. All of the notes you took, everything that we talked about, you need to go and take action now, really. And that's probably the key thing. Like you want to make sure that you don't just listen to it, then go off doing the same thing again. Like thinking yourself as the sovereign self is going to be the key thing, and having that shift in your mind. I'll catch you on the next call. Take care, everyone.